Hey everybody, Robert here from Black Belt Gaming, continuing my read through of Adventures Dark and Deep, first edition AD&D Expanded. Let's take a look today at the Jester, and I will try not to mispronounce this as Gesture, but I feel like I may have heard the name of this class thrown around somewhere on a forum or on a side conversation or something, but I don't think I've ever really seen a Jester class detailed. And so that's what we're going to take a look at today. Number one, this just seems an odd class to me to put into a game that I associate a lot with dungeon crawls. But let's take a look at it. Maybe there's some more going on here than I realize. We have some required statistics. Intelligence, dexterity, charisma each need to be 13. And hit dice is 6. The only races allowed to be a Jester are Forest Gnome, Harefoot Halfling, and Human. You also need to be a non-lawful alignment. Weapons tend to be on the lighter side, so no real two-handed weapons here, and a lot of restrictions, so there's a specific list. The armor also tends to be on the light side, so leather and no shield. Abilities are performing and tumbling and pranks, and even some spell casting ability and verbal patter. So I actually enjoyed reading through the Bard class more than I expected, because that was another class I also thought was an odd fit for dungeon crawl adventures. I just never really thought the Bard fit in so well. However, I enjoyed reading about the Bard in this game, and the Jester is a subclass of the Bard. So it's going to share some things that the Bard has. Well, one of the key abilities here is something called a prank. It's a physical gag, like a pie in the face or something like that. So the pranks can be used to do different things. It can be used to humiliate, trip or delay, or cause a minor injury. And there are percentages listed with these, and it does take some preparation to do some of these things. So for every 5 gold pieces spent above the amount indicated to do this prank, there's a 2% bonus to the chance of success. So carrying some of these devices around to pull off these pranks can become a bit heavy. So for every 1 gold piece of value, you're basically talking about 1 pound of encumbrance. So it's interesting, though, there is a time to create listed on the chart. And this is how many rounds it takes to put this little prank together. So at first level, you have a 20% chance to humiliate your target, a 15% chance to trip or delay them, and a 10% chance to cause a minor injury. It takes 1 to 4 rounds to create these pranks. So that's just level 1. Of course, your chances to do these things is going to improve. So by the time, let's say you're a 7th level character, you've got more like a 50% chance, 45% chance to pull off some of these things. So what do these pranks do? The humiliate is, I think, a good opener. It makes the target look bad in the eyes of others. And that target and its followers, the followers of that target, will suffer a minus 20% morale check. And if you follow up the humiliate, the pie in the face happened, or they got paint thrown on them or something like that, then following up with the verbal patter within the next 3 rounds in your efforts to either distract, entertain, demean, or befuddle or enrage, you're going to get a 20% bonus there. So it's a good one to start with, like the first domino, and then you head into the other effects. So the old pie in the box is one of the things you can do. It makes me think of the Joker for some reason. Trip and delay. This will require a saving throw versus paralyzation, and if they fail, they are slowed by 50% chance for the round. If their saving throw is successful, they're slowed down. If they fail, they actually fall prone and drop what was ever in their hands. So this could be a rope pulled across about ankle high, a bag of marbles on the floor, different things. The minor injury, and for some reason I'm just imagining like Monty Python, somebody smacking you with a fish. These pranks, you make a saving throw versus paralyzation. A save will result in half damage. So you're only doing like 1 to 3 hit points at first level. At 9th level and higher, you'll basically be doing 3d3 plus 3 damage, so 6 to 12 hit points. Performing and tumbling, there's some interesting things with this. Let's get into it. Well, you can see this chart here, this table. We've got attack, evasion, falling, balance, fire breathing, juggling, knife throwing, sword swallowing. Just a wide variety of things here. This attack is an actual bonus to your melee attacks when you're fighting, and evasion is similar to like a magic resistance, except it's against physical damage. So it can only work against one attack, but it sort of reminds me of something I read about or heard about years ago. I didn't have Dragon magazines. I had the core books, but not Dragon magazines. But somebody had picked up a copy that had a ninja in it, and they had a save versus damage or something like that. It reminds me of that. So if you can evade the attack, you have to have a lower initiative, but you choose one attack, and then you can kind of roll your evasion, and I think it's maxed out at 60%. So your scores and all of these things, these performing and tumbling, are going to be modified by your race and your dexterity and what type of armor you're wearing. But it's going to max out at 60%. Falling is your chance to avoid damage, and it lists how far you can fall and make use of this ability. And so balance, I really don't quite get where this would be used so much, but if you want to balance on top of a pole or balance something like spin a plate or balance things, if you want to put a big stack of rocks or something, you can use this balance percentage here. Fire breathing, it can be used to entertain, and you get a plus 50% bonus to it, but it can also be used to attack. So you can spit fire at someone and do some damage, and it may be 1d6, but we'll take a look down there and see. Then we've got juggling and knife throwing. I think it was the juggling that actually kind of works like what I associate with monks being the missile deflections. You can actually catch things that have been thrown or shot at you, and in some cases you can even throw them back. And the knife throwing is a bonus to the rate of fire. So like if you've got darts, and the rate of fire for the throwing darts is you can throw 3 darts in a round. If you're a 4th level Jester, I think, is it the rate of fire that's first? I think you can throw 4 darts and get a +1 bonus to hit when you're throwing things. And the sword swallowing is even a bit wilder. It's sort of like hiding things down your throat. So it's not like somebody tries to stab you with a sword and you swallow their sword. It's not that. It's more like the entertaining thing, but also swallowing a key, or some entertainers can like swallow a little Rubik's cube and spit it back up. Or I'm even thinking of like Malik in Conan the Destroyer, who was swallowing those precious gems and gonna gain access to them later. So here we have some modifiers going along, different types of armor and the modifications that they'll make to those numbers. So yeah, just quickly scanning, the attack bonus is to the Jester's rolls in hand-to-hand combat. Evasion is like magic resistance, the falling, the balance, fire breathing. As a rule, the materials necessary cost 3 gold pieces per use, and it causes 1 to 6 hit points of damage with a range of 4 feet. A failure could indicate that you burned a friendly combatant, or failure by more than 50% indicates you might have even burned yourself. So you need something like a torch or a candle or something to ignite the flame. And what do we have? This was the juggling. Yeah, in combat, it can be used to intercept non-magical missiles. So you might even be able to immediately throw it back, except you can't really throw back an arrow, but some other things you could. And so you can do this to as many things that are thrown at you is equal to your level, but it maxes out at 6. So you can't do more than 6 things. So if you had 6 darts coming at you, you basically could attempt to snatch them all out of the air and start to throw them back, but no more than that. So if you do immediately rethrow the missile, it doesn't actually count for your attack for that round. And you just can't do this juggling when you're in melee combat. And just double checking on the knife throwing, the second number is the bonus to hit. So the first number is the bonus to the rate of fire for some of these handheld missile weapons, daggers, darts, axes, etc. Sword swallowing immediately doesn't have any combat related application. It's an entertaining thing, but it does say here that you could swallow a key. You might even be able to swallow a wand, but hiding a sword is too much. And it says don't let this get out of hand. So I kind of wonder what the author had in mind that somebody might try, or maybe in his game somebody has tried something pretty outrageous with sword swallowing. I'd be interested to hear maybe what something on the more exaggerated side might be. The verbal patter, we read about that with the bard. Jester has quite a few things he can do with that. So modified by your level and charisma, you can befuddle, which is create confusion about some issue, fact, or event. And you kind of, what is it, like gaslighting? You can no longer be sure what you once believed. Demean, you pick a target and you kind of insult it and so forth. And if you try to demean the same target again, a -10 penalty should be imposed instead of any charisma bonus. So if the target of this is present, it could lead to violence. Distract, I think we did something like that with the standard bard. It's an attempt to get the attention of others. So imagine, I think this would be like a dungeon crawl situation. Imagine the Jester runs into a beholder's lair and screams, "Look out, the dragon's right behind me," and trying to distract the beholder so that the party can make a surprise entrance from another direction. Then there is enrage, and I had to read over this several times, but I think this is attempting to make people angry at the target of your enrage attempt. I think that's what's happening. So brings the audience to rage aimed at a target. So it's not really trying to enrage necessarily just a single person, but you're attempting to get other people, I guess, angry at this person. So there are some modifications to this. It's generally assumed that you're attempting to get people mad at someone that's generally liked and respected. And so the more they're disliked, the more easier of a time you have to get other people angry with them. And so I guess I would be interested to see some examples of what this could be. But if a jester attempts to enrage an audience and fails by more than 30%, the audience resents his attempts and turns ugly in his direction. Entertain, you can do comedy, jokes, and gags and such, and get laughter and chuckles and applause and make people happier. And then there's something called question, which is, I guess, a bit similar to befuddle, but it's not quite as large of an effect, I think. You're just attempting to put some doubt into the mind of the audience, where befuddle is used to completely make a mess of the subject at hand. So evidently a subtle difference there, but jesters, they can do some spell casting. Around 3rd level, they're able to cast some spells, but they don't gain them automatically. In their adventures, they're supposed to either find or purchase some kind of spell book, and they kind of write the spells down in their own shorthand. So a wizard or so can't copy a spell from a jester's book. But I think they can do the other way. I think they could copy one, right? So jesters obtain spells while adventuring and are then able to copy them into their spell book. No special spell or magical ink is required. That's interesting. So it's easier for them. They can also copy spells of clerical, druid, or mystical nature from the appropriate sorts of scrolls. And they may copy spells from magic users and illusionists, but the reverse is not true. They can't copy their spells from the jester's spellbook. And they just can't understand the shorthand and such. So they don't get a lot of spells, but they do get some. And, during those early levels 1 and level 2 is when the game master may want to consider some opportunities for a jester to get their hands on a spell book. But if no such thing arises, you can just simply have it happen sort of in the downtime, off camera, in quotes here. And the GM can randomly select 2 spells for the jester. So they do have to memorize these. They do have to rest and then memorize just like other spellcasters do. But sort of an interesting class there. It kind of reminds me of Bard, of course, and a bit Monk, and a bit Magic User. I don't know. Just an interesting sort of collection of things. I'd be curious where this class originated. Was this Gygax? I don't know. So that's the Jester. Have you ever played one? Have you ever read about it? Let me know what you think. Next, we'll head into the Skald.